first lesson in geometry, lesson 1-1, identifying points, lines, and planes. In this section, you're going to become familiar with the terms undefined notations, or here undefined terms. These are basically vocabulary items or parts of geometry that we can talk about and provide a visual representation of, but of things that don't actually exist the way we visualize them. When we talk about undefined notations, as I said in class, we are talking about things that we can represent but we can't actually see. So a point is actually something that has no dimension. As I said in class, if I draw this and label it point A, this is or looks like a circle, and a circle would normally have length and width and height that would be represented by, we could find the length of the radius or the length of the diameter. But a point, a true point, is no dimensions. So when we talk about a point, this is actually a visual representation of that point. Same thing with a line. A true line extends in either direction. It has no height, but when I draw this in purple, you can see that this line representation I could actually measure. And if I copied these and put these on top of each other, they would actually get taller because this representation has two dimensions. A line, though, is only one-dimensional and extends in either direction, but it has no height. And then a plane has two dimensions. It has length or width or the base, whatever you want to call it, and a height or a depth or a length. But once again, it's two dimensions. In class, I modeled this with a piece of paper. And if you remember, I held up a piece of paper and said it extends in either direction, in every direction actually. So it extend that way, it extend that way, infinitely, extend that way. But it does not extend up or it does not extend down. That's why even though we think of a piece of paper as representing a plane, piece of paper is not a true plane, because if I put pieces of paper on top of each other, I would eventually get higher. So one of the things in geometry is really trying to be able to wrap your head around these ideas of undefined terms. If two points exist, you can always draw exactly one line between them. Points that are on the same line are collinear points. Also, if I have any 3 points in space, they lie on exactly one plane, and these are called coplanar points. We're going to make sure we remember how to graph inequalities, and you can actually pause this, but if x, this means is less than or equal to 1, we draw a number line. I'm just going to put a 1 like that, and I want x to be everything less than or equal to. So there's a closed dot here, arrow to the left, and also that red representation looks like a ray. For the next one, x is everything in between -2, greater than or equal -2, and less than or equal to 3. So since it's less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to, they're closed dots connected by a line segment. Juan has more than 5, but fewer than 11 fish in his aquarium. Write an inequality that represents this. So Juan has an amount greater than 5, and he has an amount less than 11. we do not use less than, we do not use the greater than and less than sign with an equal because he has more than 5 and less than 11, but that does not include the quantities 5 and 11. In example 1, we're going to learn about naming points, lines, and planes. So here in example A, where it says give 2 other names for line P, Q. So we are talking about, to learn how to read these diagrams, this line here. So for line PQ, you can write these in either order. So you can write line Q, looks like O, Q, P. Notice the arrows show that it's a line, not a line segment. And you can also call this line N. You'll notice at this line here, there's a lowercase italicized n. Yes, the answer is down here. I'm just going through this. And for plane R, so this is plane R. You can call this by any 3 points on the plane. So you could call this plane SVT. You could call it plane PTV, VPS. You just can't call it plane SPT because in that case that's also a line, but you could also, I'm going to try and draw this to help you visualize it. You could also have another plane, SPT. This highlighter is like not working. SPT, I don't know if you can see that, that would kind of go through plane R at a 90-degree angle. That would encompass those. It's kind of difficult to see this. I'm going to show you a visual in class to help that make more sense. Okay? And that went through the description of what I just said about this plane. So now we're going to have some practice for this. Use the diagram in example 1, and this is the diagram. I've copied it back in here. Give 2 other names for line ST. It's line ST there. You could also call it line RT, since line S, since points S, R, and T are all in the same line. You could call it ST. And I don't remember what was italicized there. Oh, there's a little M, so you can call it line M. Name a point that is not coplanar with points Q, S, T. So if you could imagine this, you could have a plane vertically that goes through plane R that would encompass Q, S, and T. If you set that up, point P and point P is part of that plane. Point V is not part of that plane. Please be careful here. R is not a point. There's no dot. Yesterday in class and earlier in this video, we learned about undefined terms. Today we're going to learn about defined terms. And we can use our undefined terms to help us come up with defined terms. So a segment, the line segment, this is a line segment AB. You can also call this segment AB, written as AB, notice no arrows, consists of the endpoints A and B and all the points that would be, if this continued as a line, all of the points that are on that line in between A and B. We can also write segment AB as BA. Doesn't matter which order we put it in. A ray, AB, is all of the points with endpoint of A. In this case, it continues to the right. It considers in the direction of B infinitely. Please notice ray AB and ray BA are not the same ray. In the case of a ray, whichever point is the first point is the end point, and the second letter denotes a point to demonstrate which direction the ray is going. If you look at this diagram here, you actually have line AB, and point C sits in between, which means that we have a ray CB, and we have a ray CA. They both start at the same point, traveling in opposite directions, so they are called opposite rays. Segments and rays are collinear if they lie on the same line, so opposite rays are collinear. Okay? Line segments and rays are coplanar if they lie in the same plane. So let's look at some examples. Notice on the examples, the answer is down below. Give another name for line GH. Line segment GH, you could also call it line segment HG. Name all the rays with endpoint at J. So you have JG, you have JH, you have JE, and you have JF. JG and JH both start at J and travel in opposite directions, so they're opposite rays. JE and JF both start at J, traveling in opposite directions. And we're going to actually now do some guided practice. So another name for segment EF would be FE. And in this example, are HJ and JH the same ray? No, they do share a part of that segment in common, but they're starting at different points and traveling in different directions. Are HJ So HJ and HG the same ray? They are. They both start at H and travel in the same direction. For these next ones, you're going to have to make some sketches. And this is sometimes a little tricky for kids to sketch and visualize. So sketch a plane and a line that is in that plane. So here somebody has sketched plane M, they've colored it in, and R is lying in plane M. Sketch a plane and a line that does not intersect the plane. So this is M, and up here is line L. It is not on that plane. Sketch a plane and a line that intersects that plane at a point. So what they tend to try and do here, the point, they should actually technically have that point labeled. I'm going to label it point A. And when it's behind the plane or behind the picture, typically we use a dashed line. So I actually think for this one, a better drawing would be there's the plane. That's going behind. And there's your point. I'm going to call that point A. I'm going to call this plane M. I'm going to call this line T. Okay, now sketch two planes that intersect in a line. So basically, and I talked about this earlier, was trying to visualize this for you. There is a vertical plane that's green and a horizontal plane that's blue. It's shaded a different color. Okay, use dashed lines, so they use dashed lines to show where that plane is kind of hidden. then they draw the line of intersection. It's a little hard to see it there, but it's line M. Let's try and go with some guided practice. Sketch two different lines that intersect a plane at the same point. So I'm going to draw a plane, and I'm going to draw a line here, put a point here, and then I'm going to draw a line here. So I have a plane. I have two different lines that are going through it at that point. My drawings are not always the greatest. You can see their drawing. Using the diagram at the right, name the intersection of line PQ. So this is line PQ and line K. I don't know if you could see it there. They intersected at point M, and since I drew on it, I'll pull it away so you can see that a little bit better. Name the intersection of plane A and plane B. So this is plane A, this is plane B. So plane A is a horizontal plane, plane B is a vertical plane. They intersect along here at line M. I said line M. Let's go back and look at that. Oh, that was my mistake. Look at that. See, I'm going to leave this so you guys can see something that I'm saying. It's not line M. It's the little italicized K there. See, I'm going to leave that so you guys can see even I make mistakes. And then name the intersection of line K and plane A. So this is plane A, this whole plane, and line K, and that whole line sits on A. So that is the intersection. It's every point on that line K. So now we're going to get to the daily homework quiz. We do this every day just to kind of review what we've done. So when we're at daily homework quiz, you're almost done with the lesson. Give two other names for AE. So the way I would always suggest you do the daily homework quiz is you just pause, see if you can do the problem, and then I'm going to pull the answers away. So AE is also EC, AC. Give another name for plane S. So you can use any 3 points that are not on the same line. So you could use DEF or EBF. I talked about this earlier. You can't say DE, there should be a point there that would make that better, B, because that could also be a vertical plane going through plane S. So there could be another plane there. Name 3 collinear points. You could go with A, E, C. You could go with D, E, B. Name the intersection of AC on plane S, point E. Although it's bothering me in this drawing, there's not a little point there. And then here are the pages which your homework comes from. So if you're using the online textbook, you can just freeze this video and look at the questions. For number 39, there's 5 choices here. You have to tell if they're possible or not. If the situation is possible, you need to make a sketch. So you're going to pick 2 of those 5. Thanks for watching the first geometry video.